In the coming days, we are cycling the legendary Ho Chi Minh Trail along the Vietnamese-Cambodian border.
After barely surviving in an extraordinary heatwave with real field temperatures topping 50 degrees Celsius, we are back on our saddles and excited about the great adventures ahead. Expect mind-blowing limestone karst galore, rice, and a visit to the underworld.
Riding another 800 kilometers, we will explore northern Vietnam through super remote corners, the capital,
Welcome to Hanoi!
and all the way to Ha Giang, in the mountains up at the border with China, where something really bad happens to Mathias. But first...
70,000. That's a lot of cycling.
17,000 kilometers. Not bad, huh?
Well, my butt says otherwise, but... That distance is actually like cycling from Germany to South Korea, our minimal goal, and then back, at least had we cycled in a straight line. Since we took a little detour here and there, especially throughout Southeast Asia, we are not quite there yet, but what could possibly stop us at this point?
Oh, have a look!
Xin chào.
Giúp cái mưa. Xúc lùa cái mưa. Mưa.
We enjoy the hands-on mentality of Vietnamese people. They are not too shy to say what they need. It is early May, the start of the rainy season. Farmers lay their freshly harvested rice on these large blue and orange tarps, using half, sometimes even the whole road.
It starts raining, so they need to cover the rice that's been drying on the tree. Apparently, this family's rice is dry enough for storage. We fill a total of 1050 kilo bags, roughly half a metric ton total.
What we are helping bag isn't the white rice you know, it's paddy rice. It's straight off the plant, dried but not yet ready for consumption. The next step is milling, but with the husk still intact, paddy stores very well.
Half a ton paddy needs about 0.2 acres, or roughly the size of 2 basketball courts, to grow. With 2 harvests a year, that does feed their whole family. Farming rice is an extremely tough and labor-intensive process with countless steps. Today, an estimated 65% of rural households still engage in rice paddy planting. The whole street, quite frantically, was busy getting the rice off the streets. We came in the perfect timing for this family. But they were really happy that we helped them.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Following the Son River, we closed in on a massive geological marvel. Until now, Mathias had always declined visiting any caves along our way, but that is about to change.
Ahead of us lies one, if not the world's most impressive limestone karst systems, with well over 300 caves and grottos, among them the largest cave on Earth, literally the gates to the underworld. Today we cycled a very easy ride, but for the first time on the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
The following morning, to get to the cave of our choosing, we have to cross the river first. Most people choose the relaxed boat trip through the Phong Na cave just around the corner.
Given the funds, one can also explore Son Dong Cave, the largest cave in the world by volume. We take the much more budget-friendly option, the Paradise Cave. This is great, as I love nothing more than cycling on our off day as well. Come on.
However, crossing the river quickly pays off.
It's very interesting, we are so close. Ciao. We're so close to a major touristic hotspot, but because all people take the boat directly into the other cave or a bus, people here behave differently. Hello! There's a massive difference between being treated like a tourist or a traveler, a business opportunity or a person. To experience the latter, you have to wander off the beaten path. Hello! The further, the better. This almost feels like an equation. Added inconvenience or even discomfort equals genuine interactions and meaningful experiences.
Here, a mere kilometer from the touristic town, the kids are still excited to see us, meaning we chose the right path.
Oh my God, this is so beautiful.
People so often ask us why on earth we decided to do what we do. Well, there are countless reasons, of course, but this is as good as any. Look at this. This is the way. I mean, this is just the way to the Paradise Cave, but it is magnificent and it keeps getting better. This is the traditional way to clean the rice. So, because of gravity, the rice will fall faster and the lighter stuff will be on the top, so she can take it out.
This is the step right before bagging the paddy rice like the day before. This is how they did it for hundreds, or rather thousands of years. It is called winnowing, and it's how farmers separate the heavy, valuable rice grains from the lighter junk left after threshing.
It might look casual, but it's a crucial quality control step. Getting rid of chaff and thresh means less moisture, less mold, fewer insects, smoother milling, and more of the harvest turning into actual food instead of ruined sacks of rice. Even with the help of modern machinery, rice cultivation is still incredibly labor-intensive. The average European wheat farmer spends about 24 minutes in his tractor to make 1 million calories. To produce the same amount of calories worth of rice, 100 times more human labor is necessary on average in Vietnam. What you see here is probably mostly manual, resulting in 80-ish back-breaking hours spent per 1 million calories, or 200 times more human labor. Now just think for a moment. How many minutes do you need to work to buy 1 kilogram of rice in your local supermarket?
Oh my god. Look where you are going. Oh my god. Beautiful.
Soon after the structural integrity of the bridge's open grid decking had us slightly worried, we reached the modern Ho Chi Minh Highway. The coming days we will follow this spectacular road north, but first the Paradise Cave.
What you see here is easily one of the most exceptional limestone karst landscapes of our planet. Protected as Phong Nha Kebang National Park, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for its outstanding geology. These spectacular mountains and valleys were carved over more than 400 million years, making this also Asia's oldest large-scale karst region.
Cycling up the Son River Valley, our breath becomes heavy, and not just from the ridiculous heat and humidity. Looking at this really adds some perspective. If you think this is as good as it gets, wait until we get underground.
Karst might look like solid stone, but it's really the result of a very slow, very patient chemistry experiment. Slightly acidic rainwater and river water seeps into the limestone, dissolving it grain by grain and widening the tiniest cracks into tunnels, caves and canyons over the span of millions of years. In a tropical karst, where warm, wet conditions feed lush forests and high levels of carbon dioxide in the soil, this dissolution runs on turbo mode, creating the steep cliffs, collapsed valleys and vast underground rivers that now weave through more than 200 kilometers of caves beneath our wheels.
After Matthias tried to dry his t-shirt, we finally made it to the entrance. As we tiptoe down the wet wooden staircase, the world as we knew it comes to a halt and a surreal reality takes over. The air changes gear. It's suddenly cool, thick, and perfectly still, like walking into nature's own air conditioning. It smells of damp rock and wet timber, and just enough cave funk to remind us that this place has been here for a long time.
The Paradise Cave stretches for over 31 kilometers inside the mountain, with chambers soaring up to about 70 meters high and galleries as wide as 150 meters. It is Asia's longest dry cave. We walked the first kilometer on a wooden boardwalk suspended above the cave floor, winding between stone columns and frozen cascades of limestone. We are alone most of the time, which only intensifies the otherworldly feeling.
Carefully placed lights reveal the formations without killing the darkness, picking out towers, curtains, and terraces while the rest disappears into shadows, as if most of the cave is still keeping its secrets. Above us, stalactites drip from the ceiling in needles and thick curtains. Below, stalagmites rise to meet them, building pillars, organ pipes, and stone skylines that look like intricate palaces and deliberately planned cities rather than random geology.
I have a near spiritual experience while wrapping my hand around the fact that nobody designed this. Just rinse and repeat for millions of years, drip by drip. No architects, no CAD, no concrete trucks. Just slightly acidic water, physics, chance, and more time than our brains can handle.
What a beautiful day. The cave was beautiful, mysterious. I felt like in a fairy tale. And for change, it was also very cool inside the cave. So I was even a little bit freezing. Not the case right now.
Today we're leaving Phonang on the iconic QL15 highway, better known as the Ho Chi Minh Path.
And it was, of course, called the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a web of jungle paths and rough roads running from North Vietnam through the mountains and deep into Laos and Cambodia, then back into South Vietnam to move soldiers, weapons, and other supplies during the Vietnam War.
It's considered one of the great feats of military logistics and engineering of the 20th century. Today's modern paved highway roughly follows parts of that network through the mountains of Western Vietnam. Accordingly, for the coming days, we will ride against the stunning backdrop of the Annamite Range.
Beautiful. So today we're following this road. There's a mountain pass ahead of us. I think it's a 700-meter climb, which will be a little bit tough maybe because it'll be quite hot when we reach it. But what can you do?
Well, for the moment, enjoy the view. 35 kilometers in that direction begins Laos, and we are only 20 kilometers from the coast, riding still pretty much at sea level. Then the jungle road suddenly flattens out into a suspiciously wide 2-kilometer straightaway of solid concrete.
Today it's just a quiet segment of the Ho Chi Minh Highway, but back in the early 70s this valley had a very different job. Under the cover of darkness, workers poured and leveled the concrete by hand. By day they meticulously camouflaged the fresh concrete with jungle foliage to blind overhead reconnaissance. Nearby caves served as bomb-proof hangars, keeping North Vietnamese MiG-17s safe and surprisingly close to the front line. On April 19, 1972, two jets starting here caught the US 7th Fleet off guard, scoring a direct bomb hit on the destroyer USS Higbee, the first successful air attack on a US warship since World War II. On any other day, I would love to spend some time exploring this piece of history a little further, but suddenly I have some other explosive matters to deal with.
This is shit.
Diarrhea in Vietnam? Check. From then on, roughly every
15 minutes later.
Not exactly what one needs while climbing a mountain, but
At least I got a view. Oh, this is so beautiful. Amazing. I think this is the quietest road we've been to in Vietnam. We only hear the animals in the forest.
Actually, no surprise, while the Annamite Range looks spectacularly lush, it is a sparsely populated and cumbersome terrain, even, or maybe especially so, today.
During the Vietnam War, the US dropped between 2 and 3 million tons of explosives in these mountains to disrupt the Ho Chi Minh Trail. That is roughly the total tonnage drop during the entirety of World War II, both in Europe and the Pacific.
30 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
However, the Ho Chi Minh Trail wasn't a single road. It was an ever-shifting 16,000-kilometer maze-like web of dirt tracks, submerged bridges, mountain passes and cave networks.
Moving down from the north, men, oil, machines, the tools of war, are fed along the Ho Chi Minh Trail to bolster the aggression in the south. That lifeline must be severed. When it is repaired, as it always is, it must be severed again.
But not only the bombs were lethal. In the early years, as many as 10% of porters reportedly died of disease, while hunger, sickness, floods, and harsh jungle conditions were also major killers. Around 30,000 logistic workers died, most of them teenage girls and young women.
Mr. Ong spent 10 years in charge of a women's unit and has never forgotten the suffering they endured to defend the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Many of the women volunteers died. They gave up their lives on the trail. They really sacrificed themselves.
Even if blood has to flow, the trail will never be closed.
The women who lived in the jungle were very exposed to disease. They were infected with malaria more rapidly than the men. And then there were leeches and mosquitoes. It was a very hard life for the women. When they returned home, they had lost their hair. Their lips were pale, their eyes were empty, they were haggard.
Đêm đã về khuya sương rơi ướt nao, tiếng đem vân vọng núi rừng, mặc bom rơi pháo sáng mịt mùng, em vẫn mở đường để xe đi tới. Yêu biết bao cô gái vui ngày đêm mở đường, rừng trăm hoa thắm nở, chẳng có hoa nào hồng.
I was wounded twice. I was hit in the lungs, and also my ribs were broken. 2 ribs. The wound went through my chest, and my breasts were hit too.
Stationed at high-risk choke points, the youth pioneers diffused ordnance, guided trucks through the night, and filled bomb craters by hand under the relentless aerial siege.
Mặc bom rơi pháo sáng mịt mùng, em vẫn mở đường để xe đi tới. Yêu biết bao cô gái vui ngày đêm mở đường, rừng trăm hoa thắm nở, chẳng có hoa nào hồng.
At Da Deo Mountain Pass, this monument states that it was a key area of US bombardments from 1965 to 1972.
I am glad to have made it to the top. Climbing this climate takes an extra toll, especially with diarrhea. However, it makes it a bit easier to imagine the hardships of the Ho Chi Minh Trail and us even more appreciative of the descent into the next valley. Often overlooked, over 90,000 civilians were caught in the crossfire of carpet bombing the North Vietnamese supply routes, mostly Laotians and Cambodians. They get killed and maimed until today.
Some 50 years later, the lush rainforest managed to cover the superficial scars of war. During that time, unexploded ordnance resulted in at least 185,000 additional casualties, many of them children. Today, the landscape feels incredibly peaceful and innocent. The road surface is smooth, and there is virtually no traffic.
If riding on quiet roads surrounded by nature is your thing, you might want to give this a try. Just keep in mind that along parts of the modern Ho Chi Minh Highway, UXO can still be a danger, especially in areas close to the old trail. Stay on marked roads, follow local warnings, don't pick up or move strange metal objects, Don't dig or wander off-road in unfamiliar areas, and never assume a crater or old shell harmless.
After a beautiful day on the Ho Chi Minh Road, was maybe the most beautiful road we've had in all of Southeast Asia. We just reached this guest house. I was even so lucky to get a massage for her shoulders and her legs. Drink good one apparently. Oh, wonderful.
As we are riding north, the landscape is gradually changing. To our surprise, we continue to spot churches in many villages. The backcountry appears noticeably poorer than the coast, and we see very few young people. Some of the villages feel a bit deserted, and we miss the abundant roadside eateries.
When we reach a new valley, there's a bit of traffic again, and suddenly...
Oh wow, oh wow. Yes, it's raining!
The following day, we decide to leave the HCM. Heading back towards the coast saves us 2 days of riding towards Hanoi, where we have to take care of important stuff.
While slightly further south, the rice harvest is already done, it is still in full swing around here.
By the way, cycling in the rainy season doesn't seem as bad as we thought. Of course, every day we are washed down properly. It's like they haven't opened the floodgates.
Waiting for the rain to end.
But after just 15 to 30 minutes, it's usually over. Even though the humidity is through the roof, the cloud coverage and evaporation helps manage the heat. Or am I slowly getting used to it?
Closing in on the coast, everything gets a lot more lively again. The hordes of school children on the streets around noon is due to the split school system. Half of the kids attend the school in the morning and the other half in the afternoon. We love meeting them as they always greet us enthusiastically.
Chào.
Oh, I guess right. Hello. I'm not sure if I'm going the right way right now. Need to check the map. No, this does not seem right. Good job. No. Okay, this is a dead end. We need to go differently.
The farmer living here seems irritated about our presence, but the kids happily lead us out of their hamlet.
Hello, good job. Hello.
This man demonstrates the traditional Vietnamese bamboo water pipe or farmer's pipe. It is used to smoke thuốc lao or Nicotiana rustica, a tobacco 9 times more potent than typical tobacco. This seems remarkably unhealthy.
Today was a pretty tough day. We rode about 80 kilometers and well, we didn't expect headwind, but we had headwind all the way. So that took quite a bit longer than anticipated. But we reached the goal, Nha Ni. So Vietnam, this is a motel. Sometimes it's also kind of an hour motel, but this looks quite promising. How is it?
It's a very simple, basic room, but with no window, no mosquito net. And it's also only 117,000.
Oh, that's great.
It's a very good price.
So, happy.
Let's go.
Where are you from? Germany. The great thing is we can ride our bicycles directly in front of the room. So this is the window. I'm not sure why, but maybe it's because of the humidity or something. If they had a proper glass window, maybe they would get mold too quickly or something. I don't know. Anyways, this is the room.
It is actually an unbelievable value for money, but we would love a mosquito net and a slightly softer mattress.
Oh.
We have a guest.
We have a roommate.
It's huge. What do we do?
And by we, I obviously mean Mathias.
Oh. If there is one thing I'm really afraid of, spiders.
I hope it doesn't come back. Arev was of the opinion that we should ride back. First challenge of the day, get to the other side of the road. Achtung, Erkältung. It's the only way to get into the road. Time for the morning coffee on the side of Asian Highway 1. So they always have the coffee already prepared in this bottle. It's extremely strong. Then they pour tons of
condensed milk.
Then they mix it up pretty well. And then with a ton of crushed ice, coffee! Actually, it's so strong we need to water it down always because it's too intense.
Since we just had quietly winding mountain roads,
Xin chào.
We now take the loud, straight and flat main road. We want to get north quickly. We also adapted our riding schedule to the changing conditions. Here in northern Vietnam, we really miss the hammock cafes of the south, which we used for our extended heat breaks during the middle of the day. Instead, we now push hard during the first half of the day and check in a room early.
Finally, we are in the city Tan Hoa, and we will rest here today. We feel very tired after cycling, 65, 70 kilometers flat today. And now we are trying to find a room, maybe something to eat, and rest. Hello.
Hello.
Em chào. Ở đây đến đây rồi đúng không? Ở đây rồi. Room? Đúng không? Mathias will go quickly check the room. He could bargain a little bit, so we get the room for 200k.
Okay. Room is nice, pretty big, old but clean, so perfect. Getting a room earlier in the day has the added benefit of taking a shower and getting into dry clothes ASAP. My sore butt really likes that too. To find very cheap accommodation, we usually check on online platforms first. In Vietnam, Agoda or Booking work fairly well. Google Maps is also surprisingly helpful, especially in remote and less touristic places. However, most of the time we do not book through any app, as we often get better rates cutting out the platform. Only if we are extremely tired and arrive very late or at very touristic places, we tend to book a room in advance.
Back on the road.
But we can't leave Tan Hoa without visiting our favorite restaurant one last time.
I'm CEO, but vegetarian.
Finding the awesome Buddhist vegan restaurants of the south has also become increasingly difficult, but this was a good one.
As we have important business in Hanoi and again only a limited amount of time to remain in the country, we continue pushing the QL1 AH1 main road to Trang An. But why Trang An, you might ask? Is it not just another UNESCO World Heritage and on top of that a limestone karst landscape again? The answer is yes and no. It is also even more touristic because it's so close to the capital. And because of that, I sort of didn't want to go. But luckily, Arev insisted, and here we are.
Even the approach is beautiful. Cycling through green rice paddies, wondering what this woman is harvesting in the water, with the majestic limestone towers standing in the background. Between them, a few cement factories chew away at the karst, a brutal reminder that not everyone came here for the scenery.
We pass a funeral procession and decide to circle all the way around Trang An to reach our guest house, leaving the best bits for the following day. We see pagodas tucked into the hillsides, a sprawling temple complex rising from the shore of a lake with a massive stupa at the top of the hill, and this is only the surrounding area.
Little boat tour in Trang An. I let the woman do the work, obviously.
The scene is absurdly layered. On one side, jagged karst walls shoot straight out of the water, covered in jungle so dense it looks like someone dumped green paint on the cliffs and called it a day. A myriad of waterways and little paddle boats everywhere.
Every few minutes a pagoda appears, on a tiny island, tucked under an overhang or perched halfway up a slope. Then suddenly you stand in a temple a millennia old. Top tip, remember the number of your boat.
It is rush hour. We're trying to reach our boat with the number 918, but she can't find a parking space.
It's important that you get back into the same boat, as there are multiple routes through Trang An. Luckily, the parking situation resolves, and with all passengers aboard, we can continue together with dozens of boats around us.
As we duck into a cave, the headroom drops dramatically. Sometimes the cave room is low enough that everyone instinctively crouches and laughs nervously. Then we pop back out into another flooded valley where the karst towers rearrange themselves into a new skyline.
It's strangely social and strangely intimate at the same time. From the drone's point of view, we are just one tiny dot in a chain of boats snaking across the water. From the boat, it feels like we have been dropped into a liquid maze of emerald lakes that only locals and limestone seem to fully understand. We drift past temples where incense coils slowly burn. We stop on small landings to climb a few steps, wander among statues, and then sink back down onto the wooden seats as the rower pushes us to the next passage.
What makes Trang different from other nice boat tour places is how complete it feels. It's not just views and selfies. We are gliding through a place that has also been a shelter, a fortress, a religious center, and now, by some twist of history, a slow 3-hour loop for people in orange life jackets. By the time we circle back toward the pier, the choreography of boats, cliffs, water and pagodas has done its job.
Our fantastic boat tour comes to an end. I was quite surprised that I actually quite liked it.
And a different activity.
Yeah, some upper body strength. We don't have a lot of this.
But we would probably do well in a pedal boat.
The strongest person on the boat.
She's doing this all day, that's crazy. Today we're leaving Ninh Binh and we have to make it to Hanoi today because we need to apply for a Chinese visa.
We hope we can finish the process in about 1 week, otherwise we run into issues. That's why after all that tranquility we are hitting the Asian Highway 1 again, leading into Vietnam's second biggest city, the capital Hanoi. Our first visit will be the Chinese Visa Center.
Yes, China started granting 30-day visa exemptions, but for the route we have in mind, we need more time.
Welcome to Hanoi!
For a proper paper visa, we need to create a detailed travel itinerary, hotel bookings and proof of transport for entering and leaving China. That is usually plane tickets, so there is one problem. As we are no ordinary tourists and didn't have a Chinese visa before, it's going to be a little tricky.
After filling many papers and starting the visa process, we explore Hanoi and there are many great things you can do, like visit the opera. Watch a man shave his dog. Or get nearly overrun by a train having your morning coffee.
I also weirdly enjoyed watching the never-ending traffic from the roof of our hotel. But other than that,
we've been quite busy. We went to the dentist to check our teeth and get them cleaned. And recently, both of our hard drives failed, like the storage drive and the backup drive, which created huge problems for us. So we had to go to a data recovery company. They did not manage to recover everything, but most of it. Overall, very good day. Yeah. So, I'm hungry. I need a banh mi.
We applied here for the Chinese visa. And now we got the email that we can get our passports back, so we hope that the visa was approved. If you see us crying, then we didn't get the visa.
Just got it, the Chinese visa. So it's time We're leaving Hanoi. We had a pleasant time, we got everything we needed, and now this.
Our next goal is the upper end of Vietnam. It's a little over 300 kilometers to Ha Giang, a town in the mountains next to the border with China. After over a week in the capital, we are looking forward to riding through rural Vietnam and...
Oh well, this is a very quiet road. Oh, almost through.
One moment we are still cycling through the bustling metropolis, and suddenly traffic is down to one water buffalo. For some weeks now, at least once, if not twice a day, the sky opens the floodgates. It did not bother us too much as it mostly stopped reasonably fast. However, that seems to change.
We made a new investment.
Which seems sensible, as today the rain doesn't want to stop.
Ready to cycle!
It's raining since last night. So what can we do? We have to get to the border because we need to do a border run again. Just some slight rain.
Unfortunately, under the raincoat, it's like a steam room. We are getting soaked either way. It's just water, water, water.
It seems like it will not stop raining until tomorrow noon, so we decided to make it a short day. It's now 2 p.m. We're going to a guest house and try to dry up and get some work done.
As most of the time, we were lucky again and found this amazing restaurant with this variety of dishes for just 30,000 dong, which is a little bit over €1.
We got pickled something, beans, kale, filled bamboo sprouts, rice, and some pork, I imagine, with olives. That's very interesting. Yesterday we reached Ha Giang. It was not a very good day. I had a flat tire. Arev was sick. She had to throw up. Some problems with the stomach. Maybe she ate something wrong. And then later we went to do a border run. We rented a motorcycle to be there faster, but the fuel ran out, so we had to push the bike for a while, and then we came to the border very late. And then turns out Arev couldn't do the border run because she's on an e-visa and she cannot use that border gate, so only I was allowed to cross the border. But it was very, very late. Then on the Chinese side, even though I told them specifically that I do not want to use the Chinese visa, they still stamped my visa. I had to tell them, please, I need the visa in 1 month because I can enter China on the German passport with a visa exemption. Well, that took another 15 minutes or so when the Vietnamese border already closed for the day. They told me I can use the visa again eventually, and I was able to go back. And now we are on the way to a different border, Lao Cai. It's 200 kilometers, so again we are on the motorcycle. That's a hell of a ride. It's like 4 hours for one way. We're still 70 kilometers out. Well, hopefully Arev can pass now to China and come back, so we can stay another 4 weeks in Vietnam and use both our visas for China after that.
We had no idea our border run to Lao Cai would turn into such a nightmare. It started pouring right after that rest stop, as if 400 kilometers through the mountains in a day wouldn't be tough enough. Soon the engine kept stalling due to the heavy rain. I struggled to keep the bike going and the engine running again. Crossing to China and back took Arev another hour, and it just kept pouring. Rain was hitting my eyeballs as the helmet had no visor. Visibility was bad and kept getting poorer. After nightfall I could barely see the slippery road winding through the mountain range. When we returned to Ha Giang late in the night, soaked, cold, exhausted and terrified, I swore to myself, to never do something so stupid again.
Anyways, the remote and very mountainous Ha Giang province in the far north of Vietnam is known for its dramatic limestone karst landscapes, the road loop by the same name, and the laid-back mountain folks with an incredible variety of indigenous ethnic cultures.
The following weeks we stay in a guest house at the outskirts of the provincial capital. As it's the rainy season, it's almost empty and fairly cheap. We work on our videos and explore the surroundings. We visit the market, the butcher, a small waterfall, and a much bigger waterfall too.
Together with a fellow traveler, we visit some subsistence farmers that live in the jungle up the mountain. As their mother is busy working in the city, the kids stay with their grandparents over the summer. At least that is our understanding. Translation apps don't work well in remote regions, especially without cell service, as people speak heavy dialects or even distinct local languages. It's quite impressive what they built here. There is no electricity, no running water. Nature sets the pace.
We feel like we're set back in time. They don't seem to own one single thing without an important practical use, but they also don't seem to miss anything. Obviously, this life is very tough, but also extremely peaceful. Artur, a young man from Belarus, visited the family several times before. His dream is building a hut in the forest to live in as well.
Personally, I'm not 100% sure about the potential neighbors, even though she might become soup in the evening. Still, we can't wait to explore even deeper into the region.
We decide to wait another week before cycling the Ha Giang Loop. There had been flooding and landslides due to an abnormal amount of rain. Climate change.
In the meantime, we give our equipment some love. Mathias insists that I need a new front tire, as it's starting to disintegrate.
We did not find the Schwalbe Marathon Tour Plus, but we did find an original new Schwalbe Marathon tire, which is good enough.
We also replaced the broken rear spoke on the drive side without the proper tool. It was a mess, and we are glad that there's no footage of it. By destroying a new head, Arev adds sun protection to her helmet.
Unfortunately, the zip tie of my frame bag is completely, well, it's done.
But I managed to find the exact same frame bag in a Vietnamese online shop. And after fried egg toast breakfast number 30, it is time.
We are setting out to Vietnam's #1 road of roads, the 290 kilometers, 7,500 meters elevation gain Ha Giang Loop. I mean, well, over 2,500 meters of elevation gain per 100 kilometers might sound bad, but how hard could it possibly be? We have cycled through plenty of mountains, the Taurus Range in Turkey, the Caucasus in Georgia and Armenia, the Zagros Mountains of Iranian Kurdistan, and of course the almighty Pamir Highway. Just look at this beautiful scenery. The road is smooth along the river. What could possibly stop us?
You will not believe what just happened.
No.
So I think we did maybe 5 kilometers. And that's it for the Ha Giang Loop. Because there's no way I can ride with this saddle. And there's also no way that I will find a proper saddle here. So it will take us at least a week or so to get a new saddle.
We have been in anticipation of riding the Ha Giang Loop for months. Can't duct tape hold it together? It's super remote, and without any bicycle shops around, we try to pull off a MacGyver.
How does it feel to be on the saddle right now?
Not very good. It's way too soft.
What's the problem?
I cannot span it, so it's super soft now, which means it's terribly uncomfortable.
You think you could cycle on it like for 2-3 days?
And also it might just rip again.
Ja, jetzt bin ich angepisst.
Okay, let's see if we can find a saddle in Ha Giang. I'm pretty sure they had one Brooks 317 in that bike shop in Hanoi. So maybe they can fast deliver it here in one day. Because I would rather do that, actually.
After riding back to the guest house, the manager immediately starts making calls. Unfortunately, I realize a much bigger problem.
So, I guess it was a good thing that yesterday the saddle ripped. It just happened when I was cycling. It just ripped through, I think because of all the crazy amount of sweating the last few months. Was not good for the leather. Luckily that happened not far from Ha Giang. In a crazy action we got a second-hand, almost new Brooks saddle. Kien, the guy from our hostel, was really helpful with that. But I had also felt the problem in my knee like a week ago. I slipped going down the hill, walking, of all things. And I didn't think of it at the time. It was a little bit painful, and I put some diclofenac cream on it, and then it kind of went away and I didn't think of it. Then after that short ride yesterday, that was less than 20 kilometers in the flat, and I started immediately feeling a little pain in my knee again, and I also can hear crackling sounds. So today I went to the hospital here in Ha Giang. They decided to do an MRI. So obviously I can't see anything on this. The judgment is that I need an operation.
What?
They say that it's not the meniscus, but it's the ligament that is ripped through halfway, it looks like. And they said there's no other way than having an operation. But also the main specialist for this kind of stuff, he was in an operation right now, so they told us to come tomorrow again, speak with him. The good thing is, I mean, now it was really worth paying for the health insurance, I guess. And the ridiculous thing is that he cycled 80,000 kilometers halfway around the world. And what's going to stop me is not the cycling, but walking down a hill. But it's only the ligament, so this is good. I think soccer players have this all the time, and eventually they will be back on the field. So that's that.
We have made it so far, overcoming countless obstacles. We did not realize it at the time, but I guess making it over Akbaital Pass and the Pamir Highway cleared any remaining doubt that we will reach South Korea on our bicycles.
I almost want to cry.
As you might imagine, this injury came as a shock, but don't lose heart. We submitted the MRI scans to several doctors we trust in Germany for a second, third and fourth opinion. This is not the end of our journey. Be sure of that.
If you love what we do, please share our videos with other people that might like them too. We show the world as we see it in over 50 episodes and counting. This is only possible because of your support.
A special thanks to our awesome contributors on buymeacoffee.com/aworldbiketour and via paypal.me/amazingworldbiketour. Only with your help can we keep our content 100% true to ourselves.
Until next time.
And may the wind be at your back.